Welcome into your betting preview for this week's BMW Championship. It's outrights, matchups, one and done. I'm Rick Gaiman. That right there, Andy Lack. Andy, happy Tuesday to you.
Yeah, good morning. Final real big one of the season, I would say. Got some fun Ryder Cup stuff coming up, obviously, as well, and obviously a new fall swing schedule to dive into as well. But this really feels like the last breath of from a betting perspective, or the last real good opportunity to kind of dive in.
Well, it's the last event of the season in which everyone starts at even par.
Right.
We've got that
Right.
going for us because next week we're going to do the staggered start thing and we're going to have the who's going to win, but who's going to win the shadow leaderboard type conversations. There's just, differences for next week, obviously.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, we can whole other podcast related to how we feel about that format. But yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity this week. I mean, we got a lot of the guys at the top, and we'll get into it in a bit too as well. But you're getting a lot of these high end players at the same prices that they were going off in at major championships and 156 man fields with live players in there as well. And you're kind of getting those guys at the same prices in a field of 50 guys. And not even the back end of this field is incredibly strong as I would have expected. So I think there's some opportunities here for sure.
Okay, well, opportunity awaits. So why waste any more time? Here is the betting board, the odds grid from Odds Checker. So you can compare odds across the industry. Rory McIlroy 7-1, Scotty Scheffler 7.5, John Rahm and Patrick Cantlay both at 10. That makes up your big four at the top of the board. And these are the guys, Andy, that I think you're referencing in terms of similar prices to their major championship numbers for this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a really strong case for all of them. I'm probably rolling with, I think it's a coin flip at the top again, as I feel many weeks as it regards to the Rahm, Scheffler, Rory conversation. I don't think that there's a whole lot of separation between the three right now, personally, in my opinion. I'm intrigued by this Scheffler spot. I don't know if there's such thing as a buy low opportunity that exists in outright betting these days. But I mean, I bet Scheffler at 8-1 to win the Open. I bet Scheffler at 8-1 to win the BMW. I think he's as still high as plus 750, which isn't terrible as well. Obviously, you saw the ball striking go down a touch for him. But I mean, this is a guy who's still, even on his, if that's his floor rec, then I'm incredibly intrigued by the potential buy low spot for him on a golf course that I actually think that from a tee to green standpoint, he should be able to separate himself far more from his peers than at a golf course like, say, TPC Southwind. And you've seen, that's what he was able to do at a golf course like Oak Hill, which I think is incredibly similar to Olympia Fields in the type of questions that it's going to ask a player with the narrow fairways, the thicker rough, the execution style of golf, the smaller firm greens. I think this is right up. I mean, Bay Hill too, Torrey Pines, all these golf courses are very much in the same vein as Olympia Fields. And I actually think, Scheffler is going to make a statement and get kind of a long overdue win on a ball striking run that you could argue is probably one of the greatest of all time. I think he caps it off with one more victory this week.
Yeah, when I started looking at the satellite imagery and all that stuff, I mean, Oak Hill jumped right out at me. It was like, wow, there's a lot of similarities, especially off the tee to Oak Hill. So I look and Rory, or excuse me, Scheffler is probably my 1B. I think my 1A is Rory, right?
Yeah.
He is nearly as good from tee to green, and his short game and specifically the putter has been a lot better, right? I know he's been tinkering with the flat stick, but this is what 9 events in a row he's gained strokes putting. Like, this is somebody who's got it kind of dialed in from all facets.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't finished outside of the top 9 since Quail Hollow, right? He's got 7 top 10s in a row. The ball striking, as you've mentioned, right there with Scheffler. He's gained over 9 strokes ball striking in 3 straight starts, right? And some of these gaudy 13.6, 11.4, 10.4, 9.1 numbers. I mean, this is some of the best golf that Rory's played in his entire career. And again, like we talk about on a golf course like Olympia Fields that probably does a much better job of separating guys from a tee to green standpoint. This is one of those golf courses that you can talk about a guy like Rory, Rahm, or Scheffler starts on second base, right? That built-in advantage that they have because of their length. I mean, look at the leaderboard last time we were at Olympia Fields in 2020, Rick. It's John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, Tony Finau, Joaquin Niemann, Hideki, proper ball strikers, longer players off the tee. I really think, and I know this kind of steps in what we've seen the last couple of weeks where the bottom of the board was having a lot more success in the outright market. I think we get a bit of a correction this week and we see one of the big guns get them.
Yeah, I think you better be elite in distance or elite in accuracy, one or the other. Being in the middle is going to be a tough scene for this week. That second tier of golfer, Victor Hovland, 16-1, Xander Schauffele at 18. And then the other names shorter than 30, Tommy Fleetwood, Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, and Tyrrell Hatton. Is there a click to be made in this section of the board?
Well, I'm always intrigued by Hovland on any golf course where there's a lot more rough around the greens than there is kind of tightly mown areas. You look at what Hovland's been able to do around the green on courses like Bay Hill, on courses like Oak Hill, right? Where there's a lot more thicker rough around the greens and he's able to slide his club under as opposed to hitting some of those delicate little pit shots off of firm short grass. I think it's a great golf course for Hovland. I think I'm probably going to be all in on a Scheffler or Rory this week, which doesn't leave me much room to bet Hovland personally. But my favorite of this range is probably Hovland. And I would also say that, you know, I do like the buy low spot for Hatton as well. I was really high on him last week, really disappointed in his performance. But, you know, in 2020, I believe that it's either the last 3 or 4 years. Olympia Fields in 2020, hardest non-major venue.
What are you like the most popular guy in the world? What is happening over there? Are you able to mute in some way?
So are all those messages going off? Can you hear those?
Yes.
I quit messages. I don't know why that's happening. Yeah, just a lot of group chats talking about golf.
Oh my gosh, you were like the most popular guy in the world on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I quit messages and they're still popping up.
So Chance is speaking for the entire chat. Turn off your phone, Andy. My God.
So I quit messages and they're still popping up. I don't know why that's happening.
I don't know. Is it coming through your Mac?
I guess. Yeah, it's coming through my Mac. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
So
anyway. So Tyrrell Hatton obviously super popular last week and, you know, disappoints everybody, but you're kind of willing to get back on the horse here.
Totally willing to get back on the horse here. Jeez.
This is a tough scene. Is there like a do not disturb option? Is there like what can
there's gotta be a do not disturb option. I will
oh my God. This is the end. Now people are just like, I'm just gonna text you too and just have it come through.
Yeah, I like Hatton. Let's move down the odds board while I try and figure this out.
All right. So Hatton, the best number that you can get on him is 28-1. There is a little bit of a discrepancy. 22 is the shortest number, 28 is the longest. Then you start getting into the next tier. Lucas Glover, it's his world. We're all just living in it. He's 40-1, the same as Cam Young, the same as Ricky Fowler, the same as Russell Henley. The only two guys shorter than that are Jordan Spieth and Hideki Matsuyama. We're going to talk about Jordan Spieth a little bit later because he is, believe it or not, spoiler alert, the most popular one and done option for this week. And sitting here at 30-1 at the longest, 22-1 at the shortest. So there is some interesting names here, interesting situations that we've got to parse through.
I figured it out, by the way, because messages keep coming in. It just came coming in, and it doesn't make the sound anymore. So
all right, beautiful
victory there.
Crisis averted.
Certainly. Yeah, the chat's very opinionated on this matter. I've come to see now.
Well, I'm the one wearing, like, I guess they might be wearing headphones too, but like the ring and it like extends for so long, like right in my ear.
Oh man. Oh my deepest apologies.
It's in my brain. All right.
I'm glad we got that figured out. Yeah. Anyway, so this section, I'm always intrigued by Hideki on this golf course. I mean, I think he finished top 5 here last year. He made a nice little run to kind of carve his way into the next round of the playoffs here.
Yeah.
By, I think he birdied 5 of his last 6 holes in Memphis. And, he continues to hit the ball pretty darn well. It wasn't his strongest ball striking performance last week in Memphis. But again, I think this is a golf course that Hideki should have a bit of an advantage from a tee to green perspective. So he'd probably be the guy I was most interested in this range. I mean, like Spieth, like I was pretty high on Spieth last week. He hit the ball. I mean, he must have hit the ball in 17 water hazards last week. And it's kind of a Rorschach test on the guy. You could look at it and say, okay, well, Spieth has no idea where the golf ball is going right now off the tee. But you could also look at it and say, well, he's made a pretty good career, probably not knowing where the ball is going all the time. And he finished 3 strokes back of winning with 17 penalty strokes last week. So I'm kind of in the middle on Spieth, but I would say probably Hideki's the guy I'm the most interested in that range of the odds board.
Yeah, I'm like a 4 out of 10 on Spieth. I'm probably gonna have to use him in a couple of one and dones that I've had him with, but losing strokes on approach in 3 out of 4. The putter has left him. I mean, a good finish last week, but he had a couple of chip ins and I don't know. It doesn't scream super sustainable. Do you want to spend a minute on Lucas Glover? I think, is he probably the only, so I don't know what his odds were everywhere, but is he the only guy in the history of golf who has won back-to-back events at 80 to 1 in both of them? Because usually after the first win, that guy would have to be chopped, but you go to a playoff event, get at an increasingly more difficult field. He stays at 80 or 100 and wins again. It's got to be the first time that's ever happened.
Not only that, but this idea that he is at a lower betting price than somebody like Ricky Fowler, who's been unbelievable this season. How quickly things change. I mean, if he beats me, he beats me this week. I'm probably not going to have much exposure to Glover in any market. But I mean, I don't know. How much are you buying on this? Is this guy a serious Ryder Cup in that conversation for you right now? Do you think he needs to do a little bit more? What do you think the odds are he's able to keep this thing going?
I think the odds that he's able to keep it going are pretty good. I don't think he's on the Ryder. I think he needs to do more to get on the Ryder Cup team. I don't know if he actually will make the Ryder Cup team, but if you just go back, I mean, if this was, again, remove the name Lucas Glover, which actually, I mean, listen, he's a major champion, but remove the name Lucas Glover. Any golfer in the field that has gone 4th, 6th, 5th, miscut, win with these ball striking metrics, with the ability to putt the way he putts. And honestly, I think this is it's kind of a decent spot for him. He's going to have to play out of the fairway. That's his thing, right? He's going to have to pound fairways and then turn into the best ball striker in the world, which he's capable of doing. And he's going to have to gain maybe a stroke or two with the flat stick. I obviously don't think he wins again, but I think there's an opportunity to get him in some matchups against guys. We'll look at the matchup board in a second and see who he's against, but guys that might be going in the wrong direction. Ricky has kind of struggled a bit since the victory. Wyndham Clark, Matt Fitzpatrick. If there's an opportunity to get Glover in those markets, I'm more interested. I don't think he's going to go back to back to back, but I think he has a chance of playing well.
I agree. I mean, I have as it pertains to the Ryder Cup, I have a difficult time reconciling the fact that he didn't qualify for a single major this year. Which, I think we are starting to agree upon even further is, the 4 weeks of the year that we can certainly count on with the fracturing of the golf world going forward. So yeah, that's a whole different discussion, but as it pertains to this week, I'm with you. I don't really have a ton of interest in him in the outright market. Maybe some exposure to him in kind of some secondary markets. I
would rather bet Henley and Sungjae in outright markets than Lucas Glover.
Yeah, where do you stand on the state of affairs with Tony Finau these days?
Just out. I mean, the worst putting performance of his career last week, which I would normally be happy to forgive quickly, but this is losing multiple strokes with the putter in 7 of 10, which is something that really spurred a lot of his success in the last year. The other problem is, and I was kind of a little bit worried about this at Southwind as well. If you play well at TPC Twin Cities, I'm not that impressed. You were like the favorite. You have always played well there. You finished T7, whatever. Go play well somewhere you're not supposed to. That is a better litmus test for me than a place that you just have crushed in your career against a weak field. So I do not like the situation with Finau.
Is the 8.21 putting, that's got to be the worst of his career,
Worst
right?
of his career, not even close. I think the next one was like 5 or 6 or something like that. But yeah, by far the worst putting performance of his career.
What do you think's more likely this week? A Cameron Young win or a Finau win? Would you still go Cameron Young then?
Yeah, because I think that Cameron Young, he doesn't always, but he can kind of just like find it some weeks, right? He doesn't necessarily always foreshadow it. We're only a couple starts removed from 2 top 8 finishes in a row. He's played, it hasn't been great, but it's objectively better than Tony Finau has played. And he has like significant upside.
Right. He has the ability on any given week to lap the field off the tee. And I think the roadmap that Rahm and DJ and Neiman and Finau were able to take at Olympia Fields in 2020, I think that lays out pretty nicely for Cameron Young. As we go down a little bit farther, coming off back-to-back Lucas Glover wins, it's hard to say that none of these guys down here don't have a chance. But once you get past Keegan for me, I think Keegan is really the last guy where I have a strong amount of interest in his ability to win this tournament. Keegan and Rose probably. Those are probably the last guys that from at least an outright perspective really have my attention.
Yeah, that's fair. And he's not going to win, but I like stat profiles like Ben On, who you are just all I'm asking Ben to be is Ben, right? I'm not asking him to do anything crazy. He's going to gain 3 or 4 or 5 strokes off the tee. Awesome. I'm asking for a volatile approach week. Maybe it's +5, maybe it's -5. I don't care. And then he's a positive around the green player and he's a positive putter. I'll take my chances that I get the good week, but I don't like asking golfers to do things that they are not capable of doing. And this stat just give me, I think I might have said this yesterday. If you just randomly gave me one of the last 10 stat profiles from Ben On this week, I would accept that. Just like, I don't even care which one it is. Just randomize one of the last 10. I'll take it.
Yeah. Benny On, by the way, I believe he was 12th at Olympia Fields in 2020, which I had kind of forgotten about.
That's the last time he played the BMW Championship.
Look at those approach numbers too, as well. Yeah.
I mean, he can flush it for sure.
He's one of the best drivers of the ball in the world right now. Benny On.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Okay.
If there's last question on him, if there's comeback player of the year award, Benny On's probably in the mix, right? Guy was on the Korn Ferry Tour last year.
Yeah, but Ricky's going to win it.
Right. Could you make a case for Glover too at this point?
I guess you could.
I don't think the award exists anymore. By
they
the way,
don't do it anymore.
Speaking hypothetically, it's probably, you're right. It's probably Glover and Fowler would get it. But
yeah, Benny's a good one. Yeah, he went down to the Korn Ferry, got his card back. He's now made it to. Now he's going to be in every signature event. Like, get used to seeing Benny On. I don't know when they stopped doing that award, but Steve Stricker won that award 2 years in a row, which is like, wait, so he was comeback player of the year, then comeback player of the year again. So like, what did he do the second year that was worthy of the same award 2 years in a row?
I think he made 2 semi leaps, right? He made a leap from playing like on the Canadian tour to being a good PGA Tour player. And then he went in the following year from being a good PGA Tour player to like one of the best guys in the world. So like, I understand it, although I think it gets a little bit blurry. The lines get a little bit blurred in terms of the qualifications for what this award is. And we see that in the NBA too, where it's like, are we really talking about the guy that went from the G League to a good NBA player, or a good NBA player to an all-star? Anyway, whole other podcast.
Probably why they don't even do the award anymore. I was looking for some Glover matchup action, and I found it. He's a dog to Matt Fitzpatrick, +120. And he might have just ran into a wall, man. It just might be
the ball striking numbers in Memphis.
End of the year. He might be tired. He might just need a break. I get it, but it has not been good for a while.
Kind of confusing too with Fitzpatrick, who at one point had really, I mean, the reason why he was able to turn into like a top 12 guy in the world last year and win the US Open is the driver. I mean, he turned into one of the best drivers of the ball in the world. And now look at those off the tee numbers. He's lost over 1.5 off the tee in 4 of his last 5 starts. And the approach has gone completely south for him as well. So, yeah, I don't really have a ton of confidence in Fitzpatrick either. I will say, this is a good golf course for Fitzpatrick. He loves these firm and fast, difficult golf courses. But yeah, it's hard for me to get behind a guy who's losing almost 10 strokes ball striking in any given week.
Finished T6 here in 2020. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think the year started weird for him with an injury, and it's kind of ending weird with this. I don't know if it's tired. I don't know if he's lost it, but it's not.
That's a good one, by the way. I like Homa over Spieth. We didn't talk about Homa at all. I'm pretty hyped on him this week. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, he's playing a lot better. Very quietly posting like a lot of really good finishes, and this is what I like, right? That basically 9.5 strokes he's gained off the tee in the last 2 starts, and he's savvy enough around the greens, right? I think you're going to miss a lot of greens around this place and have to be able to get up and down for par. And it's been a little bit inconsistent the last couple of months, but this is definitely an upward trajectory for Max.
I think so too. I like what I'm seeing from him off the tee. He's kind of returning back into a fairly dominant driver of the ball, skill that I think total driving is incredibly important at a golf course like Olympia Fields. So yeah, probably won't have room for him in the outright markets, but that's a guy I'm looking to attack. I do like that Hovland over Xander as well. And no shots to Xander because I think he's a decent course fit here as well, but I think that's an intriguing one as well. What do you think the odds are that Fleetwood comes back off a semi-crushing defeat once again and is in the mix again?
If anybody knows how to come back off a fairly crushing defeat, it would be Tommy Fleetwood. I will admit, so I think I wrote him up on Golf Digest as a guy like I was planning on fading, but I think as the week goes on, I'm going to end up convincing myself. So the problem that I originally had was he had
by the way, we have it sorted. There you go.
Yeah, I was scrolled down too far. Comes off like a really strong putting week, one of his best in like the last year or two, which always worries me. I look at the approach numbers and they're generally good, but he can kind of get sideways. But the more I kind of look into this, he just finds a way to get inside the top 10. He finds a way to be pretty well-rounded. I don't love that he is like, I think he's kind of medium off the tee, right? He's not long enough. He's not accurate enough, which worries me. But man, it's hard to look at this profile and not be excited. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think that has been growing over the course of the last 24 hours or so.
Yeah, I think so as well. He's doing it in a pretty sustainable way, right? I mean, you look at how he's gaining across the board. That's the type of stat profile that we like to see in terms of, sustainability. And this is a fine golf course for him. I mean, you talk about places like Bay Hill. He played well at Oak Hill, I believe, as well. So these tougher tests, I kind of like Tommy in a tournament where he maybe has to get to 4 or 5 under par as opposed to 20 under par.
Yeah.
But again, you're not picking Fleetwood over Hovland, are you?
No, I don't think so.
Me neither.
I don't think so. Okay. We're going to continue this conversation. We'll fill out one of those tiered lineups so we can talk about more golfers. We'll chat about one and done. But first, we are going to take a quick break and hear a word from Andy's podcast.
Andy Lack is one of the nerdiest golf guys that I know, and I mean that as an absolute compliment. His knowledge of course architecture allows him to create some of the most actionable course previews available, and he offers up pure expertise on his own podcast, the Inside Golf Podcast. Twice a week, he offers course breakdowns, DFS, and betting strategy for every PGA Tour event, and he expands the universe by bringing on entertaining and knowledgeable guests who can offer a different viewpoint of the game that we love. Follow Inside Golf Pod on Twitter and download Inside Golf wherever you download podcasts.
Okay, Andy, we've got another one of these listener contests, and also I think we are bearing down on the NFL season. So I've got a couple of NFL Survivor contests open as well. I'm going to put together a little strategy video. Survivor is Survivor the equivalent to one and done? Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Right? You can only use them once. The only thing, could you imagine doing a one and done though, where you were eliminated if your guy missed the cut?
That would be kind of fun, though. I'd be intrigued by that. Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I I love Survivor in NFL. Let me ask you: have you dove into the NFL yet? Because that's a next week project for me.
The only thing that I've looked at is Survivor strategy.
Right.
But
Yeah.
that's it. I have not done any more research than that.
And are you a big NFL DraftKings guy? Do you play season-long fantasy in NFL?
No. The way that I did it last year, which I thought was pretty fun, is I got into the circa millions. So I picked 5 games and I was like, I don't know, whatever, however, like probably in the like 5% better than 50% or better than average or whatever. It's probably like 55%. And that gets you like not even close to sniffing anything in that contest. But I think this year I'm going to get back into that and into their Survivor, which I think will be enough for me for the NFL season.
Yeah, I think so too. We're pretty committed to golf here all the time at RickRunGood. So we'll keep swinging through the fall swing, even if some more of the eyeballs are on football.
Yeah, I'm not gonna devote more than like 30 minutes a week to football. So here's the contest. We'll put an entry together. So you pick one guy from each of 6 tiers. So tier 1 is absolutely stacked, Andy. It's Scheffler, Rory, Rahm, Cantlay, Hovland, Xander, Hatton, Fowler. This is 200 people. It is a top-heavy payout. So we got to get to the top of the board here.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go Rory? I mean, I think Rory's probably the most popular of that group.
I think it'll be spread out enough, though, won't it? With Victor here and Cantlay's the back-to-back champion and whatever Rahm and Scheffler are going to draw.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel overly strongly about Rory compared to Scheffler and Rahm?
He's definitely my 1A. I think Scheffler's 1B and Rahm is 1C. So I do differentiate them.
Let's go Rory. I'll have some opportunities to we'll get some opportunities to get a little bit different as we continue.
Max Homa, Brian Harmon, Wyndham Clark, Tony Finau, Jason Day, Colin Morikawa, Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley.
So I'd make the argument for Homa here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Fleetwood will be popular. I think there'll be a little love for Colin. I don't think anybody's going to want to touch Wyndham Clark, or we'll see about Tony Finau. But Homa, it's been a lot. The results are a lot better than I think people like. It's just been a quiet 4 in a row for him. You know what I mean?
Did you see Wyndham's ball striking numbers last week in Memphis?
I did. I have to go back and look. That has to be multiple balls in the water, right? It was like 11 strokes he lost.
Yeah, 11 strokes he lost.
Fitzpatrick, Spieth, Keegan, Tom Kim, Sam Burns, Sung J M, Corey Connors, and speaking of guys who might have just hit a wall here, Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, Denny McCarthy got a couple Ryder Cup tweets and said, "I'm good, guys. You can miss me with that one."
Yeah,
I make the argument for Keegan, but I'm open to Sungjae or Connors if you feel strongly about it.
The thing about Keegan is that he is he's pretty volatile, right? Like he does all of his work he does like 80% of his work in 20% of his starts, which I think in a top heavy situation, I'm generally fine with. Either he wins or he finishes 48th. Sungjae's almost guaranteed to get us a T12, which I'm not sure wins anything.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do Keegan. Let's roll with Keegan.
Cam Young, Hideki, Justin Rose, Emiliano Grillo, Siwoo Kim, JT Poston, Benny An, or Eric Cole. I mean, Hideki, Ben An, or Cam Young, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Rose too, but I would say, do you feel strong? You'd still put. I like Benny On as a sleeper, but you wouldn't put Benny On's chances to win higher than Cam Young's or Hideki's.
No, that's kind of the problem. Is I like Ben On a lot, But when you pair him with, with these guys and no, there's not a salary situation here. It is just who's going to have the lower score. It's tough to put him above either one of these two. I prefer probably Hideki over Cam Young.
Let's go with Hideki.
Okay. Tier 5, Straka, Sahith, Harris English, Cam Davis, Taylor Moore, Lee Hodges, Brendan Todd, Andrew Putnam. So we're at the bottom here. I don't know. Where are we going to go to tier? Where's tier 6? Who's in tier? This is 5.
Right. Tier 6 is going to be like Justin Thomas.
Yeah. Justin Thomas. And somebody asked a question about Ben Griffin. Like, yeah, play Ben Griffin. He was like eliminated a couple weeks ago, wasn't he? Boy.
Cam
Davis?
Maybe?
Todd had a decent finish here. Cam Davis is probably playing the best. Lee Hodges has won recently. I think those are the 3. Cam Davis has been by far the best if you want to go to
Let's go with Cam Davis.
And then finally, tier 6, Chris Kirk, Nick Taylor, Adam Schenk, Lucas Glover in 6. Is he going to be the most popular 6 pick ever?
Has to be.
Seamus Power, Adam Hadwin, Adam Svensson, who I don't mind, and Patrick Rogers.
I actually like Chris Kirk and Nick Taylor here. Those are 2 DFS guys for me. I have interest in.
I like Taylor more.
Let's go with Taylor.
Yeah. Okay. So that's Rory, Homa, Keegan, Matsuyama, Davis, Taylor. Link is in the description if you want to get involved. These have been filling like late on Tuesday. You should probably go get involved right now. One and done. Surprising. I don't know how we got to this point because I would assumed everyone used Jordan Spieth already. Jordan Spieth is checking in at the most owned. Now it's close, 10.7. Now Lucas Glover, 9.6, which makes sense because he wasn't on anybody's radar 6 weeks ago. And now you get a guy who's the same odds as, Ricky Fowler. So he's at 9.6 and Max Homa at 9.4. So those guys lead the way. I say I'm surprised, but I'm probably going to have to use Spieth in some places, but I'm shocked that he has, there's so many good spots for Spieth. How have we gotten this far without using him?
Right. I probably used him at Pebble, Colonial, Travelers, all these Heritage.
Any of the elevated events. Yeah, you used them. Yeah, you used them at Pebble.
Whoever you have at this point, right? I think there's probably a lot of entries that were done a while ago. I am cooked, right? Because you had Fleetwood last week. Yep. I needed a win. Connors was great, but he finished 6th, and I think I even lost ground on you last week.
Yeah, so I guess most of these are over this week. So best available.
Sure.
Doesn't really matter who, just best available. If you got lucky, if you were super hard up on somebody and you didn't have anybody left, you kind of got lucky with the Lucas Glover emergence because now you could just feel somewhat comfortable rolling him out. You had Corey Connors, who got you 584,000 last week. Great week. Unfortunately, Tommy Ladd, 1.1 million. So I did extend. It is now over. Because that is 4.2 million with 3.6 to first.
Yeah, we're playing for respect at this point. We're playing for honor. I'd like to get another win on the board just to say I hit 2. How many wins did you have in R1 and
quick
because
count?
I think I only had 1.
Quick count looks like Homa at Farmers, Scheffler at Phoenix, Jason Day at the Byron Nelson.
That'll do it.
That is it. 3.
I only had Ricky at Rocket. So there you go.
Ricky at Rocket. Yep. Yeah, you almost got as much for Cantlay at Riviera, but that was because he finished 2nd or 3rd or something like that.
Right.
T2.
I somehow believe I have Max Homa left. So
you do. So you will take Homa. I will take Jordan Spieth. You have already used Jordan Spieth, and that will round out our selections for the season.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That was fine. I just it's with two people. Yes, we had some stretches where neither of us should be proud of the way it went. But and 2 people is just like, okay, which of the 2 guys at the top of the board are we going to take? Yeah. So it's not always like super, super compelling, but at least, hey, you go on record, you make a pick.
Is there going to be a Run Good Fall Series one?
So TBD. I don't know So like, I'm assuming these sites are just like, I don't know how it's going to work because they're not doing like real FedEx Cup points, but I imagine these sites will still be able to track dollars. So yes, probably. I just have to figure out what that looks like because we are no longer, it's no longer like we're going to the calendar year season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which I'm excited about. But yeah, we'll see what we can do if we've got some fall swing stuff cooking. We'll still be doing stuff. I'll still have all my articles and stuff up for.
Oh yeah, I mean business
So
business as usual.
business as usual, as
Yeah,
always.
don't worry about football. That doesn't even exist. All right, well. Same time, same place next week for the Tour Championship. You can follow Andy on Twitter at ADPLac Sports. You can find me at RickRunGood. This has been your betting preview for this week's BMW Championship. Good luck.